Welcome to English Step by Step. This is Miss V. Today we want to do review writing. This is for the Cambridge English Second Language 0510 or 0511. So a review should give opinions about something. It should be therefore subjective because you're going to provide either positive or negative opinions. You have to be persuasive, so you have to tell people whether to go to a certain place, to use a certain product, to see a certain film, to read a certain book, etc. You have to be personal. You're going to give your personal experience, and informal. Uh, in the introduction, you should include information about what is being reviewed. So we're going to follow these steps. First, read the question as usual and highlight the keywords. And then plan your answer, write the review, and check your answer. This is taken from the Cambridge support website. This is a sample question. So I'm going to read this to you first before I read their comments. So this is the question. You recently visited a new shopping center in your town. I've highlighted the keywords, which you should do on your own. You have decided to write a review of the center for your school magazine. So you're writing a magazine article. Here are some comments about the new shopping center from other young people. So your audience are young people from your school, probably. So you're going to be rather informal. Okay, so we have some good points about the mall or the shopping center. First, it's easy to get to. And second, it's a good place to meet friends. So you can use these points, but you should add on at least one of your own point, which I'm going to show you later. On the negative side, everything seems quite expensive and we couldn't find a good sports shop. Again, you can use these, but please add on your own point later. Now, write a review of the new shopping center for your school magazine, giving your views. The comments above may give you some ideas, and you should also use some ideas of your own. Write about 120 to 160 words. You will see here, it says the number of words is for guidance. So you can write over, a little bit over if you can't fit everything in. But you may have a problem with time management. So you have to decide for yourself. You will receive up to 6 marks for the content of your review and up to 9 marks for the language used. I'm going to read the other comments now. Once you have read through the task and all the instructions here, you should also read the comments. Before you start writing, plan. So that's our next step. Plan how many paragraphs you will need and what ideas you want to include in each paragraph. Now, the purpose of this review is to write about a new shopping center. The reader should be informed about what you think the positive and negative points are, and whether you would recommend the shopping center. So we're going to do, after introduction, we're going to do one paragraph for positive, one paragraph for negative, and then one paragraph for recommendation. Now, other students from your school are the audience for this review. Okay, that's why you have to be informal. You can use some of the ideas from the comments in your review, but you should expand on them. So whatever you use, you should expand on them. Don't just use them, don't just lift them. So maybe paraphrase first and then add on more information. And then include other ideas of your own. Please do this. The response to this question needs to be in the form of a review for a school magazine. So the register should be should be informal to semi-formal, but should avoid language that is too idiomatic or colloquial. So don't make it conversational. This is an example candidate response and the examiner comments over here. So let's read this response. The title, a new shopping center. A shopping center is a place where people visit to buy clothes as well as furniture. So here the candidate begins their review with an introduction highlighting the role that supermarkets play for local residents in general. It is not only used to purchase things, others can go there to meet friends as well as to get fresh air. The candidate attempts some more complex structures, sentence structures, with a varied level of success. So you're going to have to do this, write some sentence structures that are more complex. The new shopping center in our town that was recently opened overcame many problems that we had at the beginning. Here, the candidate shows a good sense of purpose in this paragraph. The candidate also tries to engage the reader by introducing the idea of overcoming problems, which are later listed in the same paragraph. However, the candidate merely lifts the ideas from the prompts, and there is little expansion here. We do not need to travel to other towns to purchase things as a result. This saves time and money. Moreover, it is a good place to meet friends, as we will have a variety of shops that we can buy food to eat as well as to do window shopping. So this student hasn't added his or her own ideas. He or she has only used the ideas from the prompts. So there's little expansion. And number 4, there are some attempts at less common vocabulary. So for example, window shopping. So you will need to put in a few more advanced vocabulary to get a higher grade. However, so the candidate introduces the negative points in this paragraph by using however. The ideas are again mostly lifted from the prompts with little development. So please make sure that you have more ideas than what's given, and you also develop the ideas given. However, everything that is sold there seems quite expensive. Therefore, people don't usually go there as the spending takes them out of budget. Moreover, many shops that we also need, they are not yet there. Okay, so there are some awkward sentences. As a result, people are forced to change their plans of purchasing. The candidate uses a range of linking words to link the ideas within paragraphs. So things like as well as therefore, but also introduce a new idea at the start of the paragraphs. However, some of these linking words are rather formal for this style. However, so for example, moreover is quite formal. And this may also have a negative effect on the reader. In a nutshell, the shopping center really helped us, although there are some loopholes. Not sure why this word is here, which we believe spelling error, they will be fixed as time goes on. Okay, there'll be some comments by the examiner about the grammatical errors later. Now, the review is clearly structured and ends with a concise conclusion. However, it is not very persuasive and lacks a clear recommendation from the candidate. Yeah, so it doesn't say whether we should go or not go to this shopping center. Now, so the mark for content is 4 out of 6 because this student hasn't included his or her own points. A mark for language is 6 out of 9. There are some awkward sentences, grammatical errors, spelling errors, punctuation errors, so on. But let's look at the examiner's comments on how the candidate could have improved the answer. So it says here that I'm not going to read everything because it's quite long. So it says here that the student should have added more factual information. So for example, the location or when it was opened. And then the student or the candidate does not introduce any ideas of their own and relies heavily on the ideas from the prompts with little expansion. Okay, so that's a problem. The candidate could have included a personal experience that happened while they were visiting the center. Okay, then here, I think the examiner recommended the use of rhetorical questions and more complex vocabulary and also sentence structures that are more complex. Okay, so if you want to read the other comments, you can pause and read it. So we have read the question and keywords. Now we're going to go to step 2, which is to plan your answer. So I've put the positive points on one side, the negative points on the other side, and then I also have a column for development, just to make sure that you do develop. So these are the points from the prompt. It is easy to get to. So my development is on both the bus and LRT route. It's a good place to meet friends. So my development is there are many cafes. I've added my own point. There is a cinema on the top floor and development showing a variety of films. Now the negative points, again, these two are from the prompt. Everything seems expensive. Then my development, but the eateries are reasonable. Now I am going to recommend this shopping center later on. So I want to soften the negative points. And that's why I've added this. We couldn't find a good sports shop, and my development is there was only one small one. I've added another negative point of my own. It is difficult to get a parking space. And then I try to soften it again because I do want to recommend this shopping center to my peers later. So I say, but most of us don't have cars anyway, so it's not a big problem for us. Okay, so I've planned my answer and now I'm going to write the review. Now the structure of the review, so I'm going to have 4 paragraphs. One is the introduction, so I'm going to describe what is being reviewed. And then the next paragraph, I'm going to give all the positive points plus the development plus my own point. The same for negative points. And the last paragraph would be my recommendation. So this is my review. Title, a review of the new Empire Shopping Center. So I've just given it a name. You can call it anything. Empire Shopping Center, the new mall in our town, has quickly become a popular spot for locals. Last weekend, I visited this mall and was impressed. Firstly, it is very convenient. So here we have the positive points. Being accessible via multiple bus and LRT lines. More importantly, the mall offers an excellent venue to meet friends and numerous trendy cafes, providing a comfortable setting. So you can see my wording is slightly different from the table for my planning. As if all that isn't enough, there is even a multiplex cinema on the top floor featuring a variety of films. However, so this is the negative points. Some shoppers find the goods here more expensive than in others, although I personally found the eateries very reasonable. The downside, however, is that there is only one small sports shop, which left me disappointed. So this is a personal experience, as I couldn't find the shoes I wanted. Parking is another challenge, but how many of us have a car anyway? So I'm using a rhetorical question here. Despite these minor drawbacks, Empire Shopping Center is a great destination for socializing. So I'm recommending it. Its lively atmosphere combined with the cinema and cafe, should be cafes actually, makes it an ideal place for a day out with friends. So I'm being persuasive. Okay, so I'm going to break things down for you. I've actually added some more things in this introductory paragraph. And for some reason, I have decided to change the name of the shopping center. Okay, so we have I'm going to talk to you about the purple things, um, the purple points first. So that's for the structure of the review. So I have the title, a review of the New Empire Shopping Center. I've underlined it. And then I have the introduction. So here you have to introduce what is being reviewed. So I'm going to read this to you again because it has been changed slightly. Edmonton Shopping Center, the new mall in Mont Carroll. I've added the location now. I think the examiner also mentioned that it would be good to mention when it was opened. I haven't, but you can do so. Has quickly become a popular spot for locals. Last weekend, I visited this mall and was impressed. Okay, so I put the positive points here and then the negative points in the next paragraph. And my final paragraph is the recommendation. But there are a few other things that I want you to pay attention to, which is the development of points. So I have not just stopped at saying that it's a good place to meet friends. I've developed that point by saying that there are numerous trendy cafes providing a comfortable setting. So this is what it means by development. I've also used linking words like however, firstly, these are linking words. Okay, and then I've used different sentence structures. You can see here, Edmonton Shopping Center, the new mall in Mont Carroll has quickly become a popular spot for locals. This is an embedded sentence. And then I have, as if all that isn't enough, there is even a multiplex cinema on the top floor featuring a variety of films. So that's a complex sentence. And then I have some compound sentences, and I'm sure I also have compound complex sentences. I won't point them out because I don't know where they are now. I think this might be one. Compound complex sentences. We will talk about this in another video if you don't know the different sentence structures. Okay, then I think the examiner also wants to see a variety of punctuation. So I've used here exclamation mark, question mark, I've got full stop, I've got commas. If you can use things like colon, semicolon, things like that, it will be good too. Okay, I've also added a rhetorical question here and less common vocabulary. Okay, if you can use some, I've underlined mine. If you can use as many as you can, but make sure that you know the meaning and you know how to use it. Otherwise, it might confuse the examiner. Okay, and then in this paragraph, I made sure that I was persuasive and that I did give a recommendation. Okay, and then I used an informal tone. Okay, so that's all I have for this time. If you have questions or you would like one-to-one coaching, you can contact me here. Thank you.